That's usually my seat.
Oh, well, I
Welcome to the party.
That's what happens when you're late.
I know, it's my fault.
Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey Rob, good to meet you. I'm Brian. Again,
Good to meet you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Glad you're here.
This is so exciting to have all the board members here.
Yes.
Yay. Except Mr. Gilbert. We're so used to having just 8 of us, I counted real fast and that wasn't a good idea.
Yes. Okay, very good. Thank you. Sorry. It's about the next board meeting. So, our attorney has to. So.
Oh, no, you don't want
I know.
him. I had that from my
Yeah.
grandkids about 3 weeks ago. It's terrible when you're an adult.
Jeremy said he's going to Zoom.
Maybe they're trying to see what they can do.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
All right. Well, it's good to see everyone. Let's begin with roll call for establishing quorum.
Brian Bovick,
Here.
Michael Brown,
Here.
Peter Dillingham,
Here.
Shaylin Hanning,
Here.
Estella Hernandez, here, Edward Hillary,
Here.
Rob Seaman,
Here.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Here. And do we have a quorum?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Oh, we expect.
We don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. I just
He's going to try.
didn't mean to overlook him if he was.
He's going to try.
Okay, very good. All right, well, we have a quorum. Let's go ahead and begin. Please join me for a Pledge of Allegiance, salute to the Oklahoma flag, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma. Its symbols of peace unite all people. All right, please be seated. Thank you. Well, very good. Well, we are on 1.03. Just welcome to those of you who are with us today. I know there are others who are joining us by Zoom, following along, and just appreciate all of the work and service of the board. Hope that everyone has a good Thanksgiving. There's much to be grateful for, and welcome, Mr. Seaman, to the board as well. We also know that we had good news since we met last with a new director who has been named, and we are so excited for his work to begin. And of course, we're just very, very grateful for your work, Dr. Denny, and how you have led us through this interim period. I just want to say thank you for that. It's really exactly what was needed. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
With that, let me turn this over to you for any comments that you have.
Okay. I also want to welcome you, Mr. Seaman, to the board. We're very excited that you've joined us. You fill out the board now, and so we're very excited about that. So welcome. It's exciting to be here. We have some wonderful things that have been happening. First of all, I want to talk about our United Way drive, the United Way of Payne County. When I first started this back in February, one of the first people to call me was the United Way director, and she goes, "Well, we hope you'll participate." I'm going, "Well, I'm sure we will," And then I realized that the state agency is the largest donor to United Way campaign for Payne County. And so we had a couple of weeks of the United Way drive, and our goal was $20,000, and we raised $21,000 from the employees of the agency. So last Monday at chat, just for fun, I said, how many people in here don't live in Payne County? And well over half the people raised their hand. And so that the generosity of people that live in a different county of supporting the county work done for all the different agencies in United Way was very exciting. And Russell Ray's group was in charge of that, so kudos to him. We've told you about different resignations that we've had in the agency, and we actually were able to fill our HR person. So we have with us today Miss Raquel Parlay. And Parlay?
Yes.
Parlay. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine.
I keep, you had it in your mind, and then I was wrong, so I'm trying to get it right. But she started on Halloween, And that was a pretty crazy day because that was in the United Way Drive. And she was like, how do these people dress like this all the time? She comes with a wealth of experience. I was a little hesitant. Y'all know I'm from Cushing. They stole her from Cushing Hospital. So I'm going, I don't know about this. No, we're very excited. She gets to be closer to home, so her commute is less. And like I said, she comes with a wealth of experience, so we're very excited about that. You can see we have a nice representation of the Ag Division here. So they have just returned from their convention, and I am not going to steal their thunder. But you're in for a treat today. We did very well at national convention, and that they will fill you in on all of that. Also, I wanted to mention about one of our other CTSOs. This is kind of CTSO day. FCCLA, which is our Family Consumer Science division. So that's CTSO. Their membership, we're just coming back still from COVID, and our numbers were down, but now our membership in the CTSO is up about 20% this year. And so it's just short of 15,000 members. And now you have to say, just sit back there. Their members are off the charts, and they'll tell you that. But this is the largest FCCLA membership we've had in more than 20 years. So, our CTSOs, when we go to workforce meetings and they say, but we need soft skills, it's my shining moment. We have CTSOs in all of our divisions where we teach leadership and soft skills, and they're co-curricular, they're not extracurricular. Football, debate, music, band, those are extracurricular activities. Ours are co-curricular activities. I haven't asked anyone how they browbeat everybody to be in the CTSO. I'll let Corey do that, but they're in these groups as they do the programs that they've decided to take. So, but at our FCCLA National Conference, we had Hope Jordan from Cherokee. She was a national champion in the Consumer Math Challenge. And we had Chloe Birkenfeld from Adair, national champion in the FCCLA Knowledge Test. We had Addison Sandusky from Adair, national runner-up in Hospitality, Tourism, and the Recreation Challenge. Emily Falkenberger from Marietta is the national runner-up in the Impromptu Speaking. Olivia Rutledge from Marietta was national third place in Interior Design Challenge. And Davin Buddy, Cherokee, was the national runner-up in the Nutrition Challenge. And as you can see, where Adair and Cherokee clearly have a very strong program. They had a couple of winners, but we have strong programs everywhere else. And I was able to take Miss Anning to one at Tulsa Union. Of course, it's hard to get in school. We almost had to give them our firstborn. But after we got in the school, we saw an excellent FCCLA
Security is
program.
excellent, if you were ever worried.
Yeah, if your children are in Union High School, they are safe. We promise. Our counseling and career development just completed a tri-agency fall workshop, and it was hosted by us, SDE, and the regions. So, another example of us working together. We always get a lot of criticism that we don't work together, and it's so unfounded.
It's really bizarre.
It's so unfounded. Julie Childers and Catherine Wilhoit took the lead in setting up these workshops. They were in Moore, Norman, Western Technology Center at Burns Flat, and Indian Capital Technology Center in Muskogee. They had over 350 registered, and these they covered academics and graduation plans and the ICAP that the superintendents told us a lot about. Parchment, which is our new electronic transcripting service that we're using, and Oklahoma Promise and concurrent enrollment. And so that went really well. It's time for state staff again on December 12th. And I know a couple of you came in June and helped us out, which we appreciated. So the whole CareerTech state staff is going to meet in Stillwater at the Stillwater Community Center on December 12th. We recognize the staff and we celebrate the staff for hard work and their achievements. And like we did in June, we'll be handing out some awards. And we love it if you can be there to help us present the awards. And of course, you'll all be introduced as well, whether you're there or not. We're going to introduce you.
What time will that be?
It's at 9 o'clock,
We start at 9:30.
9:30.
Lunch is at 11:30, and then awards after that.
Yeah. So if your morning's busy and you can only come and join us for lunch and the awards, that would be awesome. We don't expect you to donate a whole day. We are inviting the new state director, Brent Haken, to come, and we're excited that he will hopefully be able to. Where he teaches he doesn't teach, where he's the superintendent in Morrison, they're on a 4-day school week, so he has Mondays off. So we're hopeful that he'll be able to attend. So we're going to have a keynote speaker, Bonnie Kane Wood, and she's from OSU she's at the Library of Communications at OSU, and she's going to be speaking to the entire staff about workplace appreciation. So we always have a great speaker. And when we bring everyone in, we bring our skill centers in, our skill center employees, and our regional directors in. And so it's a chance for the entire agency to be together. You can come to it. Okay?
When is that again?
December 12th.
It's a Monday.
It's a Monday. And lunch is going to be excellent, and then the awards. So definitely, if you come for lunch and after lunch. And you said we'd probably be done between 2 and 2:30.
Wednesday, 11:30.
Yes.
So the Stillwater Community Center is at 9th and Duck, if you're familiar with Stillwater at home. The last 2 days, we've had our superintendent's meeting at Altus, Oklahoma. Had great hospitality by the superintendent Latham down there. And this is a great time for superintendents to get together and iron out a lot of issues that they may be having at their individual and get hints from other superintendents on how to solve these. We have, I think, 4 or 5 new superintendents, and we did crisis communication with them on Tuesday morning and how to handle it. It was really a unique program this time because they interviewed every superintendent, gave them a scenario, a crisis, and then if the media would put a microphone in your face, what would you say? And they did really well. Of course, they don't really have a crisis, so they kept their cool, which is good, but it's good training and something that will continue. But it was an awesome time. They talked about their legislative, what they want to do with the legislature next year, and so it's a great time. That's what's going on with us. Anyone have any questions? We're staying out of the newspaper. That's always good. One more thing I forgot. I was able to take Chad Warmington and Ben LePack and their Brian Starkey, I think was his name, and then Chad's wife, Courtney, on a tour of 3 of our tech centers. Chad was raised in Michigan, and he's really concerned about workforce for the state, and so I just felt like he needed to see what we did at tech centers too for workforce. And so we visited Francis Tuttle on Danforth, then we drove to Meridian in Stillwater, and then we drove to Drumright, and we drove to Central in Drumright. So he could see the different sizes and different things that are offered. And of course, I always learn when I go there. Meridian has this plastic cadaver that really looks real. If you watch CSI, I'm going, oh my gosh. And he got to drive a truck at Central. But I think they came away with a really appreciation of what CareerTech does for workforce development. And, very excited about what we do and very excited to see it. So that was a good day as well. So that's my report, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you.
Okay?
Excellent. All right, thank you for that. Let's move to our first action item, which is 1.05, discussion and vote on the September 21 regular board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All right, motion and second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bovick?
I wasn't there, I'm staying.
Yes.
Superintendent.
Yes, that passes. Thank you. And now discussion and vote on the minutes for October the 20th regular board meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion or comment?
10 hours.
I bet the minutes are that long.
Yeah.
Okay, please call roll.
Mr. Bovick,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham,
Yes.
Miss Annie,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Hillary,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
Yes. All right, the motion carries, those are approved. All right, next, Mr. Nemechek, did not say that right. We would love you to come and present about ag education and some of the exciting news.
Sure, well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm Scott Nemechek, I'm the program manager for the Ag Division of the State Department of CareerTech. And I'll give you a little overview of our division, our programs, and our CTSO. And then Mr. Luke is going to share some of our national accomplishments. And then Caleb's going to follow up. He's going to be the star of the show. And so that's kind of the format here. So first off, I just want to give you some faces and names to go with our division. We're very fortunate to have a great staff that serves our teachers and students across the state. Rose Bonjour is the Central Area Program Specialist, serves the central portion of the state. Tanner Miller is our newest addition. He's the Northeast Area Program Specialist, which is our largest area of the state in terms of programs. Alan Miller is the Northwest Area Program Specialist. And let's see here if this will operate. There we go. Clark Long's our Southeast Area Specialist, Program Specialist. Kurt Murray is Southwest. Trevor Lucas, who's with us today also, is the FFA Executive Secretary. And then Laura Berger is our Ag Ed Administrative Assistant. And then Kathy Short is the FFA Administrative Assistant. And those ladies are the ones that keep everything going for us. And so with that, just an overview for us. There we go, that's working. We have 483 programs in 366 comprehensive school districts across the state. So we're exclusively in the K-12 programs. So that's an addition of 16 programs from last year. Many of those are unfunded, which we're hoping our budget request will take care of that. Over 27,000 students, and our program operates on what we call the three-circle model of agricultural education. And that is classroom, where it all begins. So all of our students are enrolled in an agricultural education class. And then each one of them will have a supervised agricultural experience, which is our work-based learning aspect of our program. And then the FFA is a CTSO where they get to showcase their skills and develop further leadership skills. In classroom instruction, some challenges and things that we're experiencing, as are all in education and many other parts of the workforce as well, is just teacher recruitment and retention. We have a very large number of new students at Oklahoma State and at Panhandle State and also at Northwestern, our 3 teacher preparation programs. They have increased enrollment in Ag Ed, but so our recruitment is doing well. Retention, on the other hand, is something that we really need to work on, and we're really trying lots of different things to help assist teachers so we can retain them, because that's a very big issue, not just in Oklahoma, but nationwide as well. As we speak, in Stillwater, we have all of our new and returning teachers in for professional development yesterday and today, and so that's part of the program that they go through to help them get adjusted and acclimated to teaching and all the things that go along with that in the Ag Ed world. As far as supervised agricultural experience, we track those through a platform called the Agricultural Experience Tracker. So that's an online web-based program where students and teachers can track all of their information. As far as SAEs, we have foundational, which is a very exploratory level, entrepreneurial, and placement and research SAEs. The average program across our state, I will say these numbers came from a study that was done by Dr. Roger Hannegriff. He's a professor at Texas A&M. He's also the one that developed this program, but he did a summary report, the research on that, and with the data that came from all of the documented SAEs that our students have. So he has documented the average program has 102 SAE programs, and that's with about 60 students. So it's an average of over 1 per student SAE program. Also, documented earnings of $57,974 per program, or $21.1 million statewide that our students have earned through those SAE experiences. And then the biggest one I think that we can utilize is the documented investments, which would be their investment in livestock and crops and facilities and equipment and all the things that go on with their various SAEs. That investment is documented at $44.9 million statewide, and he has calculated a contributed economic impact from our SAE programs of $85.4 million statewide. So I thought that was something some numbers you might be interested in knowing. And we feel like we do an excellent job of having students invest and learn some things financially as well as the skills that they develop. The CTSO portion of ag education is FFA. We do have a record high membership. That's as of yesterday or as of this morning, I think actually 28,920. So that's the highest by several hundred for us ever. We expect that to increase. There's one or two chapters that are still trying to get theirs submitted. And we'll have some second semester editions as well. So we expect that to hit 29,000 or slightly over. That is the sixth largest nationwide, and as Mr. Lucas always likes to say, we are the least populous state, and so per capita membership, we haven't done the math on that, but I would anticipate us to be among the top one or two. The states that are above us are very highly populated states like Ohio and Georgia and California and Texas, and so there's a lot of those states that have much more population than we do. And so with that, I believe I will turn that over to, one more thing, and then I'll turn it over to Mr. Lucas. So we do have a couple of very strong support groups that support the FFA side of things, the Oklahoma and Ag Education, and it kind of goes hand in hand. But Oklahoma FFA Alumni is a group. We had our annual council meeting Tuesday. And so they are in charge of Alumni Camp, which is our largest leadership activity aside from convention. They put that on. Mr. Murray, who's on our staff, is the state advisor for that, and there's a state alumni council that oversees those things as well. They also provide financial support for a lot of different events throughout the year, scholarships for our Washington Leadership Conference trip. The Oklahoma FFA Foundation is our largest and very important part. They also have their annual meeting on Tuesday, and very good news there. Lots of even with the unstable situation economically, everybody's a little uncertain there, but a lot of industry support and a lot of partners have stepped up. Last year at our convention, moved to Tulsa, we had a couple of new title sponsors. This year, one of our long-standing title sponsors, Oklahoma Farm Bureau, has doubled their sponsorship for our convention up to $50,000. And so we're very fortunate to have multiple title sponsors as well as a lot of sponsors for specific events and throughout the year. So the FFA Foundation provides convention support, but also in addition to that, they provide awards, grants, and scholarships throughout the year for different activities as well. And so J.C. Fye is our executive director of that, and she's been on the job for almost 3 years now, and it's been an outstanding job making those connections with the foundation and connecting them with our students to help prepare them for the workforce. With that, I will now turn it over to Mr. Lucas and let him kind of go through, and he can start off with this one, and then he can proceed.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to take a bunch of time, but thank you for having me this morning, Dr. Denny, Ms. Hoffmeister. Dr. Denny told you we just got back from the National FFA Convention, and I'm proud to report that they knew Oklahoma came to play. We had a lot of success at the National Convention. I don't know how much that you can't contribute any of that to me, really. It's a group effort of teachers and students and state staff that lets the little small populous Oklahoma go to the big National FFA Convention and have the success that we have. I'll just go through. You have a handout there in front of you. I won't read everything verbatim. You guys, this was just kind of put together for our website. But we went up to National FFA Convention, and we've just actually got a new National FFA officer, a former state officer in Oklahoma, Carson Cantrell. She actually got elected there at the National FFA Convention. She's Oklahoma's 23rd national officer. That is quite an honor for Oklahoma and for her. She's going to represent us very well. The national officers in the FFA organization actually play a big part. They are on the board of directors for FFA and play a big part of just directing business and developing strategic plans for FFA. So Carson's going to represent us very well. Here in a second, we actually had, you probably have heard that prepared public speaking in FFA is highly competitive. I mean, I'm just going to tell you that you would be hard-pressed to find a youth organization with more competitive prepared public speaking contest. And we have the national FFA winner. He's a current state FFA officer here in Oklahoma, Caleb Horn. He is the national prepared public speaking champion as of October. So we're really proud of him. That's awesome. I won't bore you. He's the good speaker here, not me. So that was pretty cool. And of course, livestock. Most of you know, a lot of people correlate FFA and ag education with our livestock here in Oklahoma. And that is a really important part of what we do, but it's not all we do. But of course, it's really cool when we go up there and win livestock judging. Total FFA goes up there and wins the livestock judging contest. We had 2 proficiency award national winners in beef production. Luke Gallagher from Altus FFA and another student, Reagan McKee from Oologah, was a proficiency award winner in agri-science research animal systems. Those proficiency awards are awards based off students' SAE programs, so those projects that they have outside of their classroom. And then the list is pretty long here. We had a lot of runners up. We actually had 5 national agri-science champions, which is the most of any state, and they're all from Stillwater. So actually, single-handedly, Stillwater had more national agri-science champions than any state in the union. So that was pretty cool. There's obviously a lot of good things happening there in Stillwater. We had a lot of runners up. And you can kind of flip through this here. We have national 3-star chapters. We have more national 3-star chapters than any other state in the United States. And 189 American degree recipients, members that run the national chorus and band. It's always just a really good feeling for me to go up there and see Oklahoma so well represented. And it's a real testament to our program and the students and the teachers. You can tell it's important to them. And I'm just really honored to be a part of it. I have a really cool job at the Oklahoma Department of CareerTech. I get to live, eat, and breathe FFA every single day and coach the state officers. So I'm excited to get to play a small role in any of this. So, Caleb, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can share a little bit about your experience as the Prepared Public Speaking Champion.
Well, good morning, everybody. Telling Mr. Lucas, anytime I get to come to the Capitol or go to Washington, D.C., makes me want to change my major to political science. So, I'm really excited to be here, super excited to meet all you guys. It's a small world. I actually went to high school with Ms. Parley's 2 daughters, and Dr. Denny works with my dad. So, it's a small world. But today I just hope to share a little bit about my experience within FFA and what I was able to do at a national convention and the experience that I was fortunate to receive. But coming in to FFA, I started in 8th grade, as most students do. Originally, it was just because my friends were in the class and I needed a place to fill. So I started agricultural education in FFA. I wasn't highly involved in many competitions, but my freshman year rolls around. This is where the story gets kind of cool. I always thought that after high school I wanted to go play baseball, but I got hurt that spring playing. And my ag teacher, seeing that I got hurt and couldn't do anything sports related, was like, "Hey Caleb, come try out this FFA thing." And I did. I loved it. I started getting the FFA creed, which is, it's not very long, but it's an opportunity for students in 9th grade to practice their public speaking skills. 5 paragraphs you memorize that embodies what FFA is, in my opinion. It really gives purpose from behind what our organization stands for. And I started getting that, and was fortunate to win that contest in 9th grade, and I was hooked. Not necessarily because of the public speaking, but because of the people in FFA that I was able to surround myself with. And in my opinion, that's the most special thing about our organization. Not only do you get to practice those skills, but you get to surround yourself with people that share similar passions as you, all surrounding around agriculture and growing yourself as a leader. And that was really neat. So I was hooked from that point forward. But later on in my IFFA career, I'm serving as one of the state officers this year, as Mr. Lucas mentioned, the Northwest Area Vice President. And that's been an amazing experience to kind of give back to what the organization has given me. But I went up to the National Convention in Indiana with my officer team. I served as a national delegate and competed in the National Prepared Public Speaking Contest. Really, really cool experience. So to kind of sum up how the contest works, the students are tasked with writing a 6 to 8 minute speech and then memorize that speech word for word. You walk into a room with 3 judges. At the national contest, it was 4. State contests are normally 3. and you give your speech, which is 6 to 8 minutes long. Mine was over carbon sequestration, which is the process of capturing and storing atmospheric carbon dioxide, and some of the banks that are being established, not only on state scales, but a national scale, to subsidize farmers for those methods of biological carbon sequestration, which are no-till farming, low-till farming, cover cropping, crop rotation. And so that was a really, really cool topic, and that's something that not only it could affect my family, but people all over America and agriculture producers everywhere. So that was really neat to get to go advocate for agriculture a little bit on a national standpoint. But there's 3 rounds of national convention. The top 2 make it out of every round. And I was fortunate to make it to the last round and be able to compete on the national stage in front of everybody. Very fortunate to have that opportunity and to have the support system around me. I do. It's a great experience to advocate for agriculture and not only hopefully grow myself, but use the platform I've been given as a state officer to help grow others as well. So that's all I've got around National Convention in my speech. But thank you guys. If you have any questions about National Convention or what I got to experience, I'd be glad to answer. Yes,
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still have that speech memorized?
Oh boy, put me on the spot. I probably have the first paragraph memorized.
We'd like to hear any part of it you want to share.
Oh boy, okay.
Remember, we won't know.
That's true.
Now, we don't have the copy in front of us.
Did the judges have a copy in front of
They
them?
did. They had a copy.
Wow.
So you had to have it down.
You had to write it and they saw it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I guess I can give this the first paragraph. Okay.
Perfect.
Hopefully I remember it. When I was little, my dad and I always enjoyed cooling off after a long, hard day's work by going inside, grabbing a glass of sweet tea, playing video games. Whether it was NCAA football 2004, NASCAR, or Mario Kart, you could constantly find us behind our PS2 controllers just gaming away. But in my dad's era, however, arcades were the biggest gaming ones. Classics like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Space Invaders filled arcades everywhere, and kids would line up to drop in their tokens and play for sport, see their name on the leaderboard. Since then, arcades have changed a bit. Nowadays, they're all about winning the games, earning the tickets, and cashing them all in at the end for that big prize up on the shelf. Well, just as arcades have changed over time, so has our agriculture industry. Today, farmers can no longer afford to simply play the game for the love of it, or even just to provide food for their families as they could generations ago. Today, farmers rely more than ever on strategy, decision-making, and policy to secure their livelihood, and in the end, hopefully make it profitable. Thankfully, as today's agricultural arcade features more lights, bells, and whistles than ever before, there are entities working to adapt and even create new markets that allow farmers to cash in those hard-earned tickets for a prize. That's kind of my intro to it.
Tell us what is in the foreseeable future for you? Where do you see yourself in the next few years?
So that's a great question. Right now I'm majoring in biochemistry and molecular biology at Oklahoma State. That's been really good. I don't know if it's what I want to do forever. So I'm thinking about changing my major. Like I said, every time I come to the Capitol, I always want to go political science. But I think I'm going to switch my major to animal science, pre-med. I've always thought it'd be really cool to own my own pharmacy. Long term, I think I'd like to preach. That's one thing I'm very convicted about. That's one thing that I've really realized that through FFA is my passion is people and letting people know about the God I believe in. And I think that'd be really cool to do long term is to preach. Also, I don't know, there's so many different things I want to do, but probably will major in animal science is what I'm going to change to. Hopefully, I'll be able to eventually go to pharmacy school or run my own pharmacy, but long term, I think preaching has my heart.
Okay, and one more thing. The people that are serving in that building over there and the one in Washington, they don't have political science degrees.
No, yeah, that's.
You can't, the political science people are in the basement. They are. They're writing the bills and doing, helping us do what they do in that building. So you can always, no matter what your career field is, you can always, if you want to serve in either the State House or DC, there's always a place for you. And we'll vote for
It
you.
probably makes you a better candidate.
Yeah.
Because you have real life experience in a field that has become an area of expertise. That's what we need.
Yes, absolutely.
That's good.
You've got my vote.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Excellent. Okay, I think we're all good, and we should just say the day is done. We're all
Meeting
still
adjourned.
No. Okay, we still have a little more to do. So there is, are we going to have a presentation or just a formal submission of the state?
Lisa, I thought there would be someone here.
They notified me yesterday
Oh.
they would not be able to attend,
Okay.
so I have the.
Okay, then let's just go ahead and have you, excuse me, formally present the audit over the periods of July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2021 for consideration by the state board.
Good morning. I have the pleasure of presenting an excellent audit to you. Unfortunately, Ms. Buford and Ms. Capps was not able to attend from the state auditor's office, got notice of that late yesterday, so I am here to present the audit to you. As Superintendent Hoffmeister said, it covers the period of July 1 of 18 through June 30 of 21. And this audit started over a year ago. We got notified September 20 of 21 that we would be having an audit. And the first thing the auditors did was look at the prior audit that they performed on us, which covered, it was actually 3 years prior, and it covered July 1 of 13 to June 30, 18. So they looked at the outcomes from that audit, looked at our revenue, expenditure, and assets to see that we made the recommendations that they had for us, from segregation of duties for revenue and payroll and an inventory count requirement. They found that to be satisfactory. We submitted all documentation. They said that was fine. So they later looked at what objective could we have in this audit. So what they selected was reviewing the enrollment data for the technology centers related to business and industry. So their objective was to determine whether the tech centers are reporting enrollment data in accordance with business and industry services guidelines to ensure that the tech centers were receiving proper funding. So January of 22, we received our engagement letter, which had that objective in it. They did their test work over the months and determined their conclusion was that technology centers are reporting their enrollment data in accordance with business and industry services guidelines. And they did have one recommendation as a result of their review, and that is, and you all should have a copy of this audit report. And that's reflected on the last page of that report, in that they recommend that we formally document the reviews that we have of discrepancy reports. So what they did, they looked at all the files for enrollment as for 3 years period. They looked at, they had us submit various things, including course files for students, course syllabi, reports that the Information Management Division produces, and the customized and safety training funding formula. They looked at all the supplementing items for those. So we had a lot of communication with our tech centers. They pulled in information to support the audit, and so we're very pleased with the results. I mean, a year-long process to come out with basically one recommendation that says, document that you reviewed the discrepancy reports. After the technology centers submit their enrollment data for biz, our Information Management Division runs a discrepancy report. They're looking for differences that need to be resolved in the data that's submitted. So they want us to document that we have ran the report and that we have reconciled those differences. Another part of that recommendation was also the overall funding formula. And what they're talking about there is the customized and safety funding formula. And that is a performance-based funding formula we use for customized and safety funding for the technology centers. And so basically our financial operations administrator prepares the document, their formula, and presents it to our customized and safety business and industry manager at the agency. They review it, it's good to go for a year. It's documenting that they've had that review process. So we're very pleased with the results. It shows the hard work of our information management division and our financial operations administrator. Their hard work has paid off. I'd like to compliment them and acknowledge that they are doing tremendous work and that this audit would not be possible without them. It was really, the auditor's office was great to work with. Erica Buford in particular was who we dealt with, and she was most complimentary, and we most enjoyed working with her. So with that said, I would like to entertain any questions, or I guess this is an approval item, so request your approval for this audit.
Question, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I don't know, I don't want there to be anything that looks like we are approving or disapproving the auditor's, independent report.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose there could maybe be a motion to receive and accept the recommendations, direct them to be implemented?
That would certainly be acceptable, because it's not like you are going to second guess or overrule the auditor's report. There's no intention of doing that at all. But the key thing there is that when an auditor's report is done, it needs to come to management's board to be able to, so that you all will know what's going on in the agency, and if there's accountability from the standpoint, the loop is closed as far as from the management. You get the feedback, you know what's going on in your agency, and the state auditor has done their job, and now it's before you.
So Glenn, I have an additional question, I agree, the recommendation piece, should there be some acknowledgement of that for the agency, or this paragraph she just went over on that last page, she said their recommendation?
Yes, there is a recommendation, and management's response was submitted to that as part of this audit. In other words, there already has been a response submitted, and that's been accepted by the audit.
That's been accepted by, it's the views of responsible officials. The next paragraph down from the recommendation is agency concurring with their recommendation and how we plan to implement that in our processes. And it has been accepted by the auditors.
Oh, okay, so it's already done.
Yeah, is it better than, I didn't see that either, is it better to just say that, like, a motion to receive?
We've received
Receive
it.
and accept.
Receive and accept?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that would be.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
And I would note for the board, getting one recommendation is still like an A.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's
above an
an A+.
A, it's like an A+.
I have no doubt.
Obviously, where you, as board members, or we need to be concerned is when you have findings or multiple findings. And this was over a 3-year period of time. To find one recommendation is awesome. Absolutely.
Extraordinary work.
I would compliment Lisa and her entire team and everybody that was involved in this, because the larger the sample, when you start looking at documents like that, the chance of something not being not only done correctly, but documented that it was done correctly becomes monumental. And they did a pretty thorough and exhaustive search to be able to review the records that they looked at.
And then also our technology centers, and all the information they submitted and maintained to be able to submit to the state auditors. They've done a fabulous job as well in making this a successful audit.
Well, thank you so much, and congratulations on
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you for your work, but I do have a question. In your response, did you provide that to the board?
Yeah, it's
what
here.
that looks like? Is that in here?
It's right here.
It's right under the
Last-
recommendation
it's just-
view of responsible officials.
Okay.
Agency concurs with the recommendation, and it lays out how we plan to implement that in our processes.
And that's what was accepted?
Yes, it was. This is their final report. It's being published on the website.
Well, congratulations again to you and your team, great work. And with that, I would make a motion to say that we received this audit and accept it.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or discussion? Questions? All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. Seaman?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Hanning?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobek?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right. That motion carries. Very good. Excellent. Thank you. And now we have a vote on emergency administrative rules. Mr. Nance.
Good morning, board members. Prior to the meeting, we have mailed out to you a draft proposed emergency administrative rule, and everyone should have that in their packet. It's 2 pages. And since this is not a process that we go through routinely or even on an annual basis, I want to take just a second to familiarize ourselves with the emergency rule process. Most of us are in the room are familiar with the regular administrative rule process, where we start the review process in the fall of each year, and then by December or January, we publish for public notice what rules that we anticipate changing for the next year, and those are then written. Public has an opportunity to review those during at least more than 30 days. It's usually during the month of February and early March. And in March of each year, the board then looks at any proposed rules that we might go through and consider. They are approved. If the board approves them, they're filed with the governor before April 1. And then there's an opportunity for both the governor and the legislature to review those rules. When all that is done, those rules then take effect usually first to second week of September. So that is kind of the normal process. It starts basically in October, November, and it culminates the next September. Okay, we are before you with an emergency rule because we will recall with ARPA funding that was received from the legislature, there was a Senate Bill 9XX, which was passed during the second special session of this last legislative session, that provided money for advancement of workforce in the nursing area. And that money was to be expended through CareerTech. Interestingly, in that legislation, in the workforce, the Healthcare Workforce Development Commission was also involved in this process, and the 2 agencies were charged with, or not charged, let's use a different word there, they were told in the legislation that they had to promulgate rules to be able to implement the ARPA funding. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that, but many of the ARPA funding bills did not have that kind of language in there. So that's why we're in front of you today with this emergency rule. If we do not have an emergency rule, we would take this up, you would vote on it in March, we would be talking about it next September taking effect. Obviously, the crisis in healthcare workforce is now, and in the last 6 months or last year. It's not a year from now. So that's why we're here voting on this two-page rule. And in essence, what this rule allows us to do is it specifies some of the internal controls to make sure that the funding that comes to us is distributed properly, and that we have the internal controls to show how the backup documentation to show that it was funded properly, and that if there are problems with how the money was spent, there is a clear avenue that we will recoup the money. In other words, if the feds or the state determines that money should not have gone to that particular technology center, then we have an avenue to do that. And you'll recall in the ARPA funding that this Senate Bill 9-2X, there was funding to Indian Capital, to Metro Tech, and to Tri-County separately. And then there also was a lump sum of money of about $3.6 million that goes to 10 technology centers. Okay, so the whole genesis of this proposed emergency rule is we want to implement Senate Bill 9-2X as it was written and as it was passed and approved. In other words, we're not going to be selecting other technology centers, other schools, other companies, or things like that. We're going to implement the law as it was written. And as I indicated to you, there is an emergency here from the standpoint we will have a finding of an emergency based on the fact that to be able to comply with the deadlines in the agency's law there, we have to get this done now and not next September. knowing that and seeing what we have before you today, do you have questions that I can explain regarding the process, or do you have questions about the rules? These rules are going to be very similar to what has been proposed by the Healthcare Commission. We've seen their proposed rules. They are doing a short public comment period before this. We chose not to do that, and there's nothing right or wrong one way or the other about that. We're bringing these rules to you today for approval, and we will also start the rule revision process and look at implementing and bring these into as a permanent rule. So we will have a hearing on these come March. So there will be an opportunity for public to give input, but the key thing is we're not waiting till March or September to be able to expend the funds. The way the funds would be processed, as indicated in the rule, is on a reimbursement basis. So let's contrast that very simply. Sometimes under federal grants, you draw against funds, and then I want to oversimplify. You draw against it and figure out how to spend it. That's not what we're doing. The schools will spend the money on only allowable expenses. They will submit invoices to CareerTech, and then CareerTech will seek to have those paid, and money will go back to the schools. Questions?
So really, we are just simple terms, pass through
That is correct.
entity for the money to the 13 CareerTech. So this is just stating kind of how we're going to do that.
That's exactly right, Mr. Bowman.
Okay.
Now, just to be clear, by law, when you receive federal funds, you must do these rules and create rules, but you also have.
Not usually, but there's a specific sentence in SB 2X that, and actually there's two of them. One says the Healthcare Workforce Training Commission shall promulgate rules and establish procedures for evaluating and awarding grant applications for the grant programs provided in this act. And then the section 6 is what I indicated in our email when I sent this rule out. The State Board of Career and Technology Education shall promulgate rules and establish procedures for evaluating and awarding grant applications for the grant applications provided in this act. So these rules are how to be able to evaluate and monitor the expenditures.
Yeah, and it's state.
And it's a state, it's a state statute, it's not a federal requirement.
However, so this is what you're providing them as guidance on how to go about and getting those allowable expenses to be reimbursed or paid to them, correct?
Yes, as a supplement to that, we required them to fill out the same template that we had to fill out. Is that correct, Lisa?
That's correct.
From the standpoint of when we sought the ARPA funding, we had the schools as subgrantees to fill out the same exact paperwork so that they would know what would be allowed and so that their amounts would be very clear as to what they were seeking funding for. So there's no surprises to the schools. This rule just basically helps tie it all together from a standpoint of it doesn't lay out all the situations because there are lots of federal regs and things under the ARPA as well. But it makes it clear that they are subject to the same rules we would to be able to get the fundings and draw the money down to be able to reimburse them.
And there's a clear checklist that they can go through to check off those allowable expenses. And
Yes, there is.
What is it, $5 million? How much money is it?
The nursing altogether, if you count it all, it's about 9.1 million. But 600,000 of that goes to Moore Norman with higher ed. And as he said, 3 of them are peeled off where they get a nice little tidy sum. And then the 10 each get about 300,000 apiece, so that's 3 million of it. But the total nursing that CareerTech is going to get is 9.2 million.
So
Related to this bill is, or this rule is $3,504,368. That's the 10 schools.
Yeah, that's just the 10 schools.
And then separate from that,
The other 3 are separate, right?
yes, separate from that is, let's see, Indian Capital, 1.64 million, Metro Tech, 2.03 million, and Tri-County, 1.6 million.
So where are they gonna get the million to spend until they get reimbursed? Do they know that?
They do.
Yeah, that's how it,
Absolutely.
no, that's,
They can figure
they're
it
used to that. That's how it works for like common.
So they're just gonna cash flow it?
That's right, they have to,
They have
they have to,
Awesome.
they have carryover so that they do
It's
that.
like a real business.
Yeah,
It's always that way.
No doubt.
Imagine that.
And the total together, what was that, some?
Lisa, what you, or?
For the 10 schools, $3,504,368. That's the amount that's directly coming to us from Oklahoma Healthcare Workforce Training Commission that will be subawarded to the 10 schools.
And we will keep none of that, that 3.5 million, or
It is
3.5 million will be passed.
You went all 13.
And this rule basically just
Yeah.
applying mainly for those 10 schools.
Yes.
The other three.
What's the-
Those are the three
What's the
amounts.
grand total for all grant is what she's asking, I think.
For all of the
Yeah,
schools?
for all 13.
All 13, okay. I might have to get my calculator.
Oh my goodness. Okay, we got Lisa.
I'm on the
Take a
calculator.
picture, I love it.
So do we ever charge a VIG for running money through the state CareerTech? Like other, I mean, we're having to pay a percentage to run ARPA funds through, commerce.
If you were to go to an outside vendor, they do take a lot.
I'm talking
And
about
there is
state
some-
agencies.
There is some that is given for that purpose in other federal funds, and it can only be exclusively to administer it. And so that
But do we do it?
depends.
Are we
on-
getting a
it
fee?
Have we
depends on
done
which
it
federal
in,
program.
have we done it in the past?
He's just wanting to know if there's
Oh.
a set aside, right?
We do on some, this one had kind of gotten down the road with, and so we're not taking the 2%.
Gotcha.
The broadband, which is a separate award, we may be taking the 2% out of that one.
That one's 5 million, maybe?
Yes, that was 5 million.
And I think part of that decision is based on the idea of you have 3.5 million to start with, and if you start taking
Yes,
2%, 5%, 10% off, you're not getting as much money to the field, you're taking a lot of bang for the buck out.
Absolutely.
But as you saw with this audit, there's a reason why you need to have the ability to have staff to do the implementation and
Yes.
record keeping and oversight at a satisfactory level. But if it's this amount, it may not be, it may be able to be absorbed.
Yeah, since I'm the short timer, y'all can throw tomatoes if you get mad at what I'm getting ready to say. Really kind of, Mike, especially like on the broadband, we're not gonna take the 2% until we make sure everything's been funded. And if there's money left over, we plan on taking the 2% because we're not giving it back to the government.
That's right.
I should probably, I'm sure I should probably already know the answer to this, but why is this falling outside of how we would normally distribute funds?
Why is this one, sir?
Why is this falling on a different timeline that we're making this, why is this happening now?
It's an emergency rule.
Because this money has just been appropriated by the legislature on June 7th. This
During
was-
special session.
It was during special session.
Okay, so it just missed our normal window.
It's out, that's exactly right. And
Okay.
so, if we choose to wait, then we would be implementing a rule in September of '23.
Yeah.
And so
No, I get it. I
yeah,
just wanted to
then
make
the
sure
schools
that's
couldn't
what I was
start spending until September '23. We will have wasted.
And there's a timeline also, just to kind of round out the discussion. These funds, if not distributed and used and spent and completely done in a certain timeline, go back to the feds. They're lost.
Right.
So we do not want that.
No.
So obviously the
Every
purpose
dollar.
there is to be able to do additional instruction in nursing and to be able to, to boost the workforce in the healthcare area, working closely with the Healthcare Workforce Training Commission.
And I do have that total amount for this Senate Bill 9 is $8,803,623. And that's the 10 schools that will be going through us and the 3 that are standalone, technology centers. So for the 13 schools.
But I do want to add that 600,000 that Moore Norman's gonna get.
Yeah, and that's in a separate bill.
That's in a separate bill, but so you get a picture of the entire dollar amount we're getting to help the nursing workforce shortage in Oklahoma.
And that's the thing, also, you have to keep all that segmented from the standpoint, there's the healthcare monies,
Right.
there's the broadband monies, and truck driver training, and those are all separate. But at the same time, this is the only one that has a requirement for rules to be promulgated.
And we're grateful for that.
That's right. Other questions?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
I was gonna say, once this rule is approved, we have 10 days from the time it's approved to file it with the governor, and the governor has 45 days to be able to review this. We are going to be visiting with their staff and see if we can get that on a reasonable fast track. I'm not saying it has to be done, within 3 or 4 days or anything like that, but if it can be done faster than 45 days, we would certainly like it to be done faster than 45 days. If we can get the money to our schools to help them, they can start spending, and we want to keep them legal where they're not spending monies to seek reimbursement before the rules take effect. So we want to keep them legal.
Very good. All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobek,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham,
Yes.
Ms. Hanning,
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Hillary,
Yes.
Mr. Seaman,
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister.
All right, yes, that is a, I think, unanimous approval. And with that, we'll consider the next agenda item. I know it says, okay, I would ask if we shall be needed or recommending executive session, or if we can discuss in open session.
I'm fine with open unless anyone, any board members would want to go into executive session about, I have a few comments about the new state director.
Do you have a
I don't really
recommendation?
know what we're talking about, so we may want to go into executive. I'm looking at Glenn, I'm not sure.
Just, what you said to me was,
I mean, there may be some recommendations, those would have to, actually, it's a discussion, don't you feel like?
It's a discussion.
It's a discussion, so I don't think there'll be any recommendations, and I'm fine to do it in open session. It's up to you all.
do you want to give a hint of what you want to talk about?
I want to talk about just the conversations I've had with the new incoming state director and when he would like to start and things like that.
Seems like it's not a sensitive issue.
It's not, then I'll follow your lead.
I'm fine to do it.
All right, go ahead. Let's
Okay.
go ahead to this item.
Okay. We've had several discussions with the new state director. He's very excited about coming to work. When we did the negotiations with him back and forth, we told him your desire that he be on staff by the January board meeting. And so his desire is to come in January 9th and do all his paperwork, which it takes a whole day, I can attest to that. And then be gone the rest of that week and help. They're trying to hire an interim superintendent right now at high school, at their school, so he wants to get them started that week. And then his first official day would be January 16th, which is actually a holiday. So it probably would be the 17th, and then board meeting would be the 19th. And he would be on staff full-time at that time. And so we need your suggestions, your thoughts on that. He does plan to come in like at state staff. He's already spoken with HR and about, making sure that basically that his health benefits follow. Because he has a family, and you know how that is. And so he's already spoken with HR, and he stays in contact with me. The superintendents of the tech centers, since we will not have a superintendent meeting in December, we'd like to host a reception for him and probably at Meridian so they can meet him ahead of time. So those are some of our discussions. I'll answer any questions.
So have y'all talked about kind of the transition from you to him and how long you would be willing to stay on to help him and that kind of?
We have talked a little bit. I guess I'll just go ahead and say what he said. He would like me to stay, and we haven't decided how long because we wanted to talk to you, but he would like me to kind of move over and be the interim chief of staff and let him be the director for a while. And he feels like hiring a new chief of staff might be his very first job. So I anticipate 2 to 4 weeks at the most.
Wow, that's fast.
That's fast.
You think that's fast?
I'm gonna recommend.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like 2 to 4 months.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's what I was thinking too.
Well,
Which we would be happy to have you.
I mean, just
No
thinking
doubt.
about the fact that, well, we hope you'll stick around as long as that all makes a lot of sense. But he would be starting the legislative session.
Yeah.
And a lot, with that I would
Right.
think you would be such an asset to be able to, as long as you're
Well,
willing
he and I
and he
haven't
is
put a
willing.
timeline on it. He just asked if I would take that interim position for a bit. We haven't talked time, but, so there's that, which I haven't shared with anyone until I shared it with y'all.
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but I'll just jump in. I think everything sounds great to me. The timeline for him, what he's doing, transitioning out, great that he's getting the healthcare benefits set up. I love it. But I think this is a wonderful idea personally about the interim chief of staff and the transition there. And so I would be all about however long he, as well as you, but kind of would like to let him make that decision.
That's why I said it
That's
had
my
been set. I
suggestion, but
agree.
that's just me. I can't speak for everybody.
I agree. It needs to be his comfort level.
He feels like he's there, but what do you all think?
Well, I guess the question to you would be, it's really, when is your hard stop?
My hard stop is always June 30th.
Okay. With that said, I guess it's so imperative, starting that legislative session, having a strategic plan, a plan of action on how
That's
that
true. I kind of
will be
forgot about that.
tackled. And having you, for more than those weeks that you've mentioned, would be so valuable for
Okay, well,
CareerTech.
I do want him to drive that ship though,
Yeah.
so you can go, could you leave? We're done, type of situation.
And probably there's a variable of whom he has in mind, or if he finds the right person, and when they're
Absolutely.
available.
And when
So
they're
there's
available.
that we couldn't really anticipate today.
So, anyway, you know what I know when I know. Almost.
Thank you. We are hopeful, and we know that this new season for CareerTech will be a great start.
It is gonna be
And we
wonderful.
are so grateful for your leadership as you continue to help him through in this transition, so.
He comes from, and you guys know this, but I'll say it for the viewing audience, since we're not in executive session. He comes from a long line of CareerTech. His education is an ag education. You see the smiles right there. His ag education, his dad was in CareerTech field. His grandfather was, I think, in construction. So he comes from a long line. He's very excited. I think he's like a lot younger than me, but more mature, I think. I really do. So I think we have an opportunity in him to have the longevity, the knowledge of where we come from, and yet the innovation of where we can go. So I'm very excited about your all selection. You all did great. So it's a very exciting time. And he will be at this board meeting in January.
That's awesome.
And if we could offer this to him as well, as speaking, I'm sure board members would feel the same way, that we're available to him as well. Any help that we can provide him in this time, and even, through this legislative session, if there's anything we can, just
that'd be great.
with him.
Because as you know, we have a big ask, and I think, I don't think it's that big, but it is a big ask for the legislature to consider, and I think there's money that we don't just need to keep stuffing it in a mattress. We need to spend it on kids, don't we? So it's a big ask, and I think Representative Hill has been very active. Brian Hill with Sky has toured. He wanted to see all the CareerTech centers. Now he's taking a break till January. But so we have an advocate there. We're getting some advocates that aren't necessarily on just the appropriations committee, and I think that's so important to do. So it's a big ask, and it's our turn. And it's SD's turn too. It's kids' turns. They're really fun what we're doing.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, I will just, I guess, say our agenda.
The next meeting
Oh, and our next meeting, do you
December
happen to
15th,
recall?
right?
December 15th.
9 a.m. here.
Same.
Same day,
Is
just
it
like
the same?
today.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to.
it's a duplicate of today.
I knew it was on the, I knew when that, then there we go. So the next one is December 15 at 9.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it. All right, with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever you have this.
I survived.
Yeah.
All right.
Survivor, there you go.
Yeah, your initiation is next time.
Oh, okay, all right.
Just needed a
So
little
did you
time
take
out.
over
We'll lull you to sleep and then wham 'em.
Oh, I see, okay. That makes sense.
You gotta bring the cupcakes.
Sounds all over.
I can do that. If you need more coffee or anything, we've got.
Good job, man.
I know.
Cold out there.
Don't know, the twins are and Michael.
Let's do it again.